Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. So I'll set up play and review video for the game Brussels 1897. Now this is the card game version of 1893. I could have zoomed out, but we would have lost a bit of quality, but I'm aware I'll have to move things around on the table a little bit to get everything in shot. So starting off, we are in Brussels. There's the expo, like the World's Fair basically going on, and we're looking to get the most points over 4 rounds. Now, depending on who's playing, you can choose whichever colour you like, but it is over 4 rounds. Put a marker here, as you'll see, it will sort of tilt inwards. I think for ease of reference, let's play with green, and I would say let's play with blue. And we'll play one other colour just to have them in shot as well, but we'll play with yellow, so put red away. So I'll set this up as a 3-player game. Slight changes as a 2 and as a 4, basically amount of cards that you're able to play with. So I'll move everything out of shot, but you will take your respective pieces and place them here. This is to the architect track, the nobility track, and the prestige track. Now, as you see, these do tilt slightly. So just bear in mind they might get knocked around a bit. That's just a function of, I guess, maybe how long the game has been on here. You're also going to place one of these tokens over on here. And as you pass them, which might well happen, you'll get more than 40 points on your next go round. So there we go. We'll leave this out of shots, but we'll maybe come back to that in a moment. Okay, so I'm using a playmat to check out my accessories playlist. Whoever you want to have start is going to take the mac and peas, the most famous kind of statue, the peeing water fountain little boy over in Belgium. You also have this exposition card, which allows you to kind of sell art. We're going to have a prison we're going to deal with. We have money. So 1s and 3s is how that's going to operate. And I'm just going to now set it up in terms of players. So various cards are going to be dealing with here. We've got George Brugman. Everyone is going to take one of those each. So make sure you handle those out. You've also got these special cards as well. I'll come on to those. They won't be in shot initially. You've also got other things to deal with. So various other locations within the city we're working with. We've got material cards. So these are basically allowing us to build buildings. As you can see, they might have 1 type of material. They might have 2. I'll come back onto them, but they will score you points as well, depending on different types you're going to use. So now we talk onto the colours. So we did actually have green in shot a second ago. We can get green out again, but they're over here. So you're going to need, these are called architect cards, and I'll come back onto them in a second, but we've also got nobility cards. That's what these are called. Basically, people who are going to be helping you out throughout the game. So leave those off to one shot. If you are watching this as a short, make sure you watch the full video. So like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. Keys, well, this is because these are different buildings. You're trying to build different buildings. They can give you points at the end of the game as well. You've got the art, I mentioned the exposition. Sometimes it comes up, that card, because they're going to get shuffled. So various things. You've got 4 colours of art. So you've got Art Deco in yellow, green, blue, and red. So we'll shuffle those up too. And lastly, coming on to the architect cards. So I'm just going to mainly set it up for, let's say, playing as blue. So as you can see, there's various cards in here. You'll have a total of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you might have noticed 1's a 5, and there are a couple of 2s. There's also 4s in here too. You're going to take those 2 cards, the 1 and the 5 and the 2, or the 4 and the 5, however you want to call it, and hide them in the prison. Everyone's going to do that as well. Okay, so you've now got 5 cards available, and going through it in turn order, you are going to handle out some cash. So the first player is going to get 4 money, so basically that is 4 money. Next person is going to get 5, the next person is going to get 6. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 or 4 cards in a game for 2 or 3. You're taking 3 cards. In a 4-player game, you are taking 4 cards from each of these respective decks. So grab 4 or 3 cards, 3 of these. Again, you're going to shuffle them first. 3 of these. Check out my GDM playlist as well. And you're going to chuck out some money cards as well, all with the 3s on it. You're also going to take this Metro card, or the, what kind of would you call it, Expo card, and then deal them out. So we have got a charged bulls. This person, I'll show you what they do in a second. We have got ourselves an art card here. We have got ourselves a building. And lastly, on the right-hand side, we have got ourselves another building. So again, we're going to go 4 by 3 in a 2 or 3 player game, with the bottom left-hand cards covered off if you are playing it as a 2. So that always becomes a 3. Then we've got another 3, another noble, and another one as well. So these cards were not used, so we do not actually have any building going on, which will be difficult. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cover that out just to show you how differently that's going to work. And as you saw, no Expo card came out. So in round 2, there may be one, but we shall see. Okay, let's crack on now with the various things that you can be doing on your turn. So let's say I'm starting, I've got 4 money, I could perhaps buy some artwork. Why do I want to do that? Well, it could be worth 3 money. So I can spend 1 card. So I basically spend 1 of my 4 money. That goes into this card pile. So spend a 1 card and I place this on here. I can't get myself a building yet because I don't have any resources. If I had this card, it can build my first building for 1 of these resources. I must have 2 of these, obviously they all have 2 on them, to build my second one, and these will be permanently with you throughout the game, throughout all 4 rounds. But if you have different resources, so that's the same type, then your second building will give you 2 victory points, whereas if it's only the same type of building type, it's only going to give you 1 point. So if I build this on a future turn, I'll show that it works in a second. But for now, let's just say I've done this. And let's say somebody else, I don't know, builds this. So they're going to pay their cost. You do get change. And let's say somebody else, I don't know, happens to get some building materials. So now it's my turn again. I can sell this, and that's now gone. So I've sold it. I pay 1 money, let's say. I could spend, flip it over, I could spend 3 money if I want to. I'll tell you why in a minute. And now I've got myself my 3 money. I also would have paid in 2 initially. Well, a 3 card, already had my 3 money left. So I spend that in and got 2 money back because you can get change, as I mentioned, but you must have been able to afford it before you take the 3 money. So you sold your art, you've got some more money. Money's good because you now start to control other things. So yellow, I know I'm skipping greenstone for a second. This can now get this card because, again, it is a resource. It's materials. So what you do is they have to pay their money to do it. Like I said, I know I skipped green. They pay their cost if they can afford it. And now they're going to get 1 point because they have got 1 type of material. If they had 2 types, they would have got 2 points. Well, that would have given them 1. That would have given them 1. We had seen a 2-1 a second ago. That would have given 2 points, even though they only needed 1 building material. And on that tracker, we'd have given them 1 point as well over there. Like they can slide around just to show you on shot, but normally it's fine. Apart from that, we've got nobles. So why do you want to take a noble? Well, you can start moving. I'm going to take everything off this counter now. You can start moving up these tracks here as well. So maybe green could have gone down the bottom here, could afford it, to get themselves a noble, and I'll tell you why they might want to get it. Now they can even use their ability straight away, in which case they get to bump up that track, or at the end of the game, if they keep this person, they're going to have to pay 2 money at the end of the game, 2 Belgian francs. And somebody else maybe bumps up this track too. Again, they would have placed down their cards, and I'll show you why they might want to pay 2 money instead of, let's say, 1 or 3 or something. And let's say, I don't know, I went over here, and let's say someone bought this, and therefore, it would be in greenstone again, wouldn't it? They went here. Of course, no one can buy those ones. Let's give us a tie to show you this is going to work. And that might be it. Maybe no one wants to do anything else. But there are 3 more places you can actually go in this game. And let's one up off the top of the board, which I know is not in shot presently. But I'm going to show you how they look. So these are 3 special locations, 3 locations within, I guess, the town of, well, the city of Belgium. It was still a city back in the day. And they let you do different things. So you do not have to go up the top. But let me explain what happens if you do choose to go to this special location. So the first place you can choose to go to is the stock exchange. Sorry, wrong card. Stock exchange is here. So the stock exchange gets you 5 money. So you still need to put a card down. So you still need to pay, I don't know, 1 money, let's say, but it gives you 5 money. Another place you could only leave a card on top. Another place you could choose to go to would be here, which is City Hall. It lets you activate your cards. So you've only got George Brugman in front of you. If you activate your card, turn it sideways once per round, you can do that for as many cards as you like. I'll explain there is a finite amount though to get yourself 4 money, which allows you maybe to compete with more stuff. The amount of cards that you can tap, because somebody else might have got this card, somebody else might have got this, and as soon as you get them, you do get the benefit straight away, but they come tapped, is amount of people that you can tap is equal to the positioning up here. So you might actually have 4 nobles, but you can only move up 2. That's how that's going to work. So you might want to keep moving up there. The last card is this one. This lets you take, again, you would place your card on top of it, and let's pay, say, you paid the cost of 1. You draw 2 cards from any of these piles, and including you can actually sell artwork as well. And you're going to reveal them, look at 2 of them. You can keep 1 of them, discard the other. This lets you get someone out of jail, which we'll come back onto. And this one lets you draw 2 cards from in this deck over here, and you can keep 1 of them. 1 of them's going to get discarded. So that's how that's going to work. Now, what's interesting with choosing to go for these really powerful options is whoever has the most that have been placed up there Well, whoever has the most has to go to jail. If two people have the same amount of cards up there, so let's say green and yellow, they both have to go to jail. Now, I had mentioned that this card lets someone come out of jail, which is good because they get an extra action per turn. So for next round, if you happen to go there to get that card, let's say blue did it, or let's say yellow did it, they've now got a card back. But if anyone happens to place cards up here in the city locations, they can choose which of the cards they were placing up there, so let's say they place more than one, that they can send to jail. And if someone does go there, like they said, these positions are very good to go to. Let's say green went here to get 5 money. Well, if yellow wants to go there, they can, but they've got to spend multiple cards. Not necessarily more money, but just multiple cards. So now 2 cards have gone there, which is probably likely to mean that they're going to go to jail. That's how that's going to work. Lastly, we're going to tell you about a final thing that's going to all mesh together, and that relates to down the bottom, which will be just out of shot. So let me move these out of the way for a second. We are going to talk about scoring majorities for these columns. Now, as you can see, what came up was not much art in this particular first round. But what's going to happen is, as you can see, not everything's in shot, but you can kind of see some stuff is going on that's relevant, is you are now going to, prior to the game starting, have shuffled in these 4 scoring cards. And let's leave them just kind of visible. So they've been shuffled up, and let's go to the majorities here. So blue currently has the majority in this column, so they can get someone out of jail, because that's what that symbol means. Someone comes out of jail, and that's blue taken care of. And then here we have a tie. So both green and both blue can bump 1 on the nobility track. So if ever they choose to take the action, which allows them to trigger all their nobles, there's more nobles they can trigger, subject to them having nobles. And over here, this is very interesting, we'll talk about this in a second. This relates to nobility, which we'll come back onto, so bumping up that track as well. And lastly over here, architecture. So architecture is important because for each building that you have, we know some people have already grabbed some buildings, they're going to get themselves points equal to their position on their track. So you've got this building in front of you, let's say, it doesn't matter what the building is, you are now going to score, in this case, you score 1 point per building, but if you'd managed to bump up the track because of this kind of symbol occurring throughout the game or through certain nobles, you could be getting 3 points per building. I managed to get 5 points per building in the last game we played. But let's come back to nobility. So we've scored along here, and now we have the final thing. I'll come back onto these bottom things again in a second. You score for nobility. So in this case, whenever you can see a shield that's completed, can you see this makes a shield? You are also going to do another round of scoring. But that is not complete, and that is not complete. That's not complete, and this is not complete in this particular game. Just to give you an example. So over here, we look at this zone here, and we can see that blue happens to have scored it here, but also green will get points and yellow. Now, how many points do you get? Well, this is where we look at this particular track over here. Let's say yellow was on here because the noble's there. Let's say green and blue were down the bottom. Well, no, let's put, yeah, fine. Blue scores 2 times their position here. So they score 2 points. And I've kind of reset it to 0 for a second here. And let's move that down out of shot a little bit. So we can see blue has scored 2 points. Yellow happens to be here, and they score 1 point. But let's say they're up here. They scored 2 points as well. And green is down the bottom, so they score themselves 1 point. But now we scored this bit as well. So now we go it again. And this time let's see that yellow is going to score 4 points, 2, 4, and green scores 2 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 points. I'm aware that's just out of shot, but you can see that, yes, you can get loads of points as long as you can complete an area. So you're about majority, so you need to be the highest amount or tied. But here, it's all about as long as it's complete, then you can score yourself points times by your nobility track. So you want to try and get those cards. So you want those cards to try and score those. If you want to try and keep using your nobles, which allows you to keep using those guys, you want these guys. And of course, you want the nobility guy or the architecture guy to maybe try and bump you up here, which may or may not have come out at this point, but you can see it's over there too. And there's multiple copies of each. So that is 4 rounds. You keep playing it until you do it 4 times. You see who's got the highest score. For that final round, there's another thing to talk about. And that is down the bottom here. You can see these things here. So these are shuffled every round. But whoever happens to win this column, or ties in the final round, for every 2 money, you're going to get 3 points. And you can do a maximum 5 times. For each unique building, you are going to get 2 points. For each noble, you're going to get 2 points. And for each unique artwork, you're going to get 2 points. Now, I haven't talked about the expo, which may or may not occur, but I'll come back onto that. So just to remind you, on the end of the 4th round, you do need to be paying off your nobles if you've got any. So you've got to pay 2 for each. If you are unable to pay for them, you must discard the noble and lose 3 points. Now, you might think money is tight, and it is, But whoever passes first in each round gets 3 money. So you get that comes to the bank. Everybody else, whenever they fancy passing, will get themselves 1 money each as well. For each of your houses, so that's here, remember you're scoring based on the architecture track, and you get 1 victory point for each unused material card. So for each of those cards like this, you're going to score yourself 1 point. And you're also going to be scoring 2 points if you currently possess that Expo card, which again, I will come back on to talking to you about in a second. Again, there's lots of different things to talk about in this game, and that is the Expo card. And you're trying to sell off artwork, you'll get 2 points for each, but I'll show you how that works in a second. You'll also gain, I said, points down here, depending on how things are going, and you're looking to see who is going to be the winner by having the most points. If there is a tie, the person with the fewest architect cards in prison is the winner. If there's still a tie, count up all the values of all your tracks, and then you see who is the winner that way. If still a tie, you're going to share victory. So let's come back onto this. So if this has been one of those 12 cards, as an example in a 3-player game, if you take this card, at some point you can trigger it throughout the round. And that means you can then sell off your artwork. So if you happen to have, let's say, some art, let's say you've had, I don't know, a piece of red art, then you can only ever sell red once that round. You will actually score yourself 2 points. If somebody else in the round also has art, they can sell it as long as it's not red. And then it comes back to you if everyone else has been. And if there's still different colors available, that's available in front of people, you can again have it. I say sell it, you're kind of exhibiting it for 2 points. The other advantage of this card is it lets you go first in the next round. If it doesn't happen, you alternate 1 player to the left. That's pretty much how it's going to go. But that is pretty much how the game is going to go. Again, if you have any questions, always do let me know. This is obviously fairly heavy in some respects because you are trying to get up these tracks to get this. You're trying to get up the track to get bonus points here, and you're trying to make sure you're triggering as many of your characters as you can, bearing in mind you might want to just trigger them just once. But going back, so there's 5 main turns you can do, which is creation, which is basically getting art, or sale, which is selling the art, supply, getting those building materials, and then construction, which is constructing them. The other one is influence, which is basically taking these guys from the board and then triggering them as soon as you have them. Pretty much, like I said, covers everything. But again, if you have any other questions as well, there are some other cards which you might want to look to checking out as well. And again, if any other questions, do let me know. But yeah, it's been a very enjoyable game. It's around kind of an hour to play. It's a bit, like I said, thinky compared to what most games might look, depending on how it appears. But again, I hopefully you found this one of interest. And again, any other questions, always, I'll speak to you again soon. And I might add some notes as well relating to who happens next. But no, it's a nice kind of game. In terms of my rating, I think I'll give this close to like a 7 or just higher than a sort of 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.3 actually. So yeah, I was very impressed with how all the different things kind of link in together. That was something that really impressed me, and is something that I do recommend you want to check out. And yeah, speak to you again soon, but for now, back to the table.